of your warm-up up here, I have the 2 on the back and what the answers are, so we can go over that as well. So, how do I start? What do you know? A is the 4. H is -2. K is -1. POI. Positive 2, -1. H is still backwards. All the same rules. What about the asymptote?
Isn't that the point?
Same thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's where it crosses the x-axis or y-axis. Yeah. So where's the dotted horizontal line that's going to cross the out? Huh? At -1. It's always going to be your k value. These guys are always going to be the same 100% of the time, maybe 200% of the time. Okay? So how do you start graphing this then? Yeah, the asymptote is the easiest thing to start graphing. So we're saying that we're going to cross the y-axis at -1, so right here. And where's your POI? At 2, -1. So we got a nice circle right here. Do you know what an asymptote is? It's kind of like a guide. It guides your graph. It's never going to reach that graph. It's never going to reach that point, but it will get really, 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 really close. Okay? So you can't have a point on your asymptote, so we just punch it up 1. Right? It's literally like you're punching through the line up 1 notch. Okay? 100% of the time, no exception. Okay? That's always going to happen. Then, how do you figure out the second point that you need? The A value. So this 4, is this growth or decay? Growth. You're multiplying something by 4, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So it's going to start off and then it's going to rack up real quick. Get really, really big there, right? So from your asymptote, you're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. And if it's rising, you want to go positive 1. You're always going to go over 1. You're always going to go up this many. And then you just kind of give me a nice curve through this guy. And this guy kind of levels out at the asymptote. Not too bad. We're going to practice some of these today, and you're going to have a moment where it clicks. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah? Good? Alright. Let's check out the next guy. What if I give you the graph and you have to identify the function? What's something you can tell me? Tell me.
Okay, now I know that where it levels out.
We know where it levels out. Where does it level out? It's on the 1 line, absolutely. There's no trickery to it. Not trying to mess with your head. It's going to be there. And it's where the y-axis crosses that 1. So what does this tell us then? The y in our coordinate is a 1, which also tells us what? The k is also a 1. That's really convenient.
And it's a negative.
The a is a negative number. Right idea, slightly wrong concept. Why did you say that? It's going down. What that actually means is it's going to be a fraction. But right idea. It might be. It could be a half, it could be a third, it could be a fourth, it could be a 57th. It's not going to be a 57th. That would be crazy. All right. What you want to do is you want to take where your asymptote is. You want to go up 1 and find where it crosses your graph. And it should be a nice point. We're not trying to trick you with these guys. Okay? Anything more complicated than these guys, you're going to want to throw in a graphing calculator anyways. And then you're going to take this coordinate and you're going to go over 1 this way and see where it hits nicely. Those are your 2 points. Okay? So I went from my asymptote up 1 to get a coordinate, and from that coordinate, I went over 1 to get a coordinate, right? But your POI, was that this point? Where was it in the last one? Where does the POI land? Where is this guy? This guy's at -1. You see that? This guy right here is at -1. Yes? So what does this help? How does this help us?
That means H is 1.
H is a positive 1. Beautiful. And then how do you figure out A? How far is this point from your asymptote? It's 3 away, right? And since it's decay, it's 1/3. Which means you're multiplying by 1/3 each time. If you multiply something by 1/3, what happens? It gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Isn't that what's happening in the graph? It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Right? So then what does my function look like? 1/3 x plus 1, and then down here, plus 1. Very nice. There it is. Once we practice a couple, it's going to click. I promise you. That's why we practice in class. I like seeing those light bulb moments. They make me happy. Okay? Soak it in. All right, the 2 on the back of your notes, the bottom should have looked like this. Number 2 was f of x equals 3 to the x plus 2, and then the whole thing minus 1. And the first graph, you should have 2 nice points. Your asymptote is at y equals 2. You should have a nice point at -4, 3. And you should have a nice point at -5, 5. You need to make those like big, obnoxious, nice points. Those are what I'm looking for. Okay? Don't just kind of like, oh, it kind of looks like this. Oh, it kind of looks like this. Yeah, that's a chimpanzee can tell me that. Tell me where it's going to cross. Okay? Okay. Yeah, give me a little bit more than that. Please be better than a chimpanzee. Okay? But you've got your AHK right here. Alright, and then this guy, my asymptote was here. That word will never not be funny, just so you know. Because of this -1, it'll be funny forever. Let's be honest. And then you've got a nice point here and a nice point here. Check out that asymptote. It'll be funny forever. This guy's 3 away, and this guy is at 2. Yeah? Because this second nice point is 3 away from my asymptote. Yep, 3 away from the asymptote. Cool? Not too bad? Not the worst thing in the world? It's it.